This is the second episode of 2019, and within this new interview, we happen to talk with
Partrick Boyer Jr.
an FX artist who created an 8-foot Krampus. What's going on, everybody? This is already the start of the new year, and guess what? Whole new interview. Yay! Congratulations, 2019, with giving us already 2 interviews. Hooray. It's already almost like last year. We had 2 interviews right off the back. Remember that, Tessa?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, speaking of which, I'm also here with the lovely fiance, Tessa Baker, here. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
And tonight, we got some cool people. One of us is actually just joined the Everything Horror family, and she is part of her own. I guess I'm gonna have her correct me if I get this wrong, but I'm gonna say company or business, really, and maybe hobby. Anyway, I'll let her answer that. But please welcome to the Everything Horror family, Katie Kensworthy. Hi, Katie.
Hi, all.
So, the After Midnight FX, that's what, your company, right?
Well, it's it's kind of just what I do as a hobby. But yeah, I do a lot of different things with costuming and creating different types of things, special effects stuff. So yeah, it's my passion and in creating.
Very cool. Yeah, I just didn't want to bombshell that and completely throw it in the mud because I was just like, oh boy, here we go. Been almost 2 years since we talked with Katie. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard that interview with the lovely Katie here, you need to go back and listen to it. Trust me, very cool insights, especially
Worth
since
a listen.
yes, especially since Katie and I first met during the Dead Static days. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about anything else except for who we are interviewing, and that is Partrick Boyer, who does a special effects thing. But anyway, yes. Hi, Partrick.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Tessa. Hey, Katie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Greetings and salutations. I'm battling cold, but good.
Yeah, it's going around. I'm really well. I'm over here, very excited to be creating and just meeting new people. And thanks for having me on the show. It's first time. I've been doing the effects, for about 4 years, I guess, acting and effects stuff. So, and this is the first time that I've had an opportunity like this. So thank you very much.
You are so welcome, Partrick. And you shouldn't really be thanking us. You should actually be thanking Katie over here because she's the one that put me and Tessa in a Facebook group and pretty much just said, you guys listen here. You guys put this guy on your show now because he is a good friend of mine. And no, that's not really how it went down. But it was just maybe I feel like he should join your show. Do you think you should? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Just get a hold of Partrick and we'll go from there. And here you are, Partrick.
Well, there you go. Thank you for everybody. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it had to happen. It had to happen. So Partrick's love of special effects and creating creatures and stuff. We needed some more of that kind of talk. So,
oh yeah, we definitely needed more of it.
But yeah,
definitely happy to introduce you all.
What's that, Partrick?
I was just saying, creatures, fabricating the creatures for TV and film. It's like it's where I want to go. It's what I want to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's like Katie's basement, it's like her monster room that she has, something like that, and like where all these weird creatures get made and developed and everything else. I mean, it's cool, and I mean, I don't know what your area looks like, Partrick, so I can't really say if you got like a basement cave or something, but I mean, but speaking of which, you guys met at a some sort of program or something. And so, Katie, if you wouldn't mind talking to Partrick about it, of how you guys met up and talked about that, uh, the university thing that Partrick was just mentioning, because now I'm drawing a brain fart already on the first part of it. But yeah, so Katie, if you wouldn't mind talking with Partrick and
Absolutely.
Partrick, yeah.
Absolutely. So Partrick and I met at RJ Hetty's FX University, probably almost 2 years ago now, where we were taking a course on building creatures and learning new things. And we were the crazy kids in the class and had a lot of fun. Doing a lot of crazy stuff, right, Partrick? I mean, from life casting and applying makeup.
They hammered us for 5 days. It was almost like being on the show. It was 12, 14-hour days of everything. We did some airbrush, we did some hair laying, we did the life casting, we did sculpting and molding, dental. We did all that in like 5 days. I left with a headache, but it was a good headache.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and it was. So it was the whole like face. It was a bunch of different artists from Face Off, and just teaching us a bunch of stuff. So it was, like Partrick said, like being on Face Off, because we had only so many days to fit in all of this different stuff. So it was really intense.
Definitely.
So what was like the idea of this? Like just to go and learn, or was it actually to like make projects for films or something?
I think it was mostly to learn the techniques that we can then apply for, to whatever, whether it be cosplay or convention type stuff or TV. Not everybody has the good fortune of working in TV and film. Knock on wood. I'm very thankful. And a lot of folks just do it for cosplay and convention, which I swear I got my start was doing a lot of things for conventions, just winning contests and stuff.
That's pretty good. And 5 days, holy crap! Yeah, no wonder why you're going with a headache. Do you even remember all of it? I mean,
yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I've applied a lot of it since. I've made a ton of things since I left the class, and I know Katie has also. So plus we also have each other. If we don't remember, we can kind of call. I know I could call Katie and be like, "Hey, how the hell did we do that?" Even 2 years later, and together we could figure it out. But I bought the supplies to do the dental work, so I've still been making. I made dental acrylic for my werewolf. So it's a matter of staying current and continue to work with the products. You know what I mean? It's if you get it and you work with it, then it kind of sticks with you.
Yeah, and having that connection, like you said, Partrick, really like having that network of people to be like, hey, you know what? Like to bounce like, what you're doing off from each other. And like, I can't remember how to do this or, like, hey, do you have any insight or, or suggestions on how I can do this or how I can do this better. So that was really amazing about that class too, is like, having this connection now, with Partrick to be like, hey, what's up? How do I do this? Or how can I make this better or whatever? So that's as well, that came out of that class, not only the learning, but the network that you build from, doing these things with people.
Oh yeah, Lauren Klein and I even worked on a project, Ghost Cop 2, that's on the festival circuit now, winning all kind of awards. And that's where we had met also. So yeah, it's about the network.
Excellent. Exactly.
Did I hear that right? Wolf Cop 2?
No, Ghost Cop 2.
Ghost Cop. Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Paul, I'll send you a link afterwards.
Yeah, I'm definitely now interested in this because I know there's that Wolf Cop one and then Ghost Cop. Okay, that's new to me.
Yeah. It's not Wolf Cop, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's lots of awards.
Yeah, I definitely would love to check that out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so while you guys were there, what was like your favorite technique that you both learned, or do you have like any type of favorite that you learned?
Katie?
Oh, wow. Well, it was all really, just everything that we were learning was so valuable. It's really hard to put a label on what was my favorite. Part, I guess I would say, was life casting, right, Patrick?
My face cast turned out so amazing. I'm getting ready to do something with it now. Soon. I made my face in latex and I have eyes and crazy stuff. But yeah, my face turned out amazing.
But that's the scary thing. You're going into this class and you don't know these people. We didn't know each other, and you have to have this trust. Like, when someone's putting, all this stuff on your face to do a life cast, and you don't know each other, and it's like, whoa, okay, this is kind of intense. But It was really cool. It was trust building, right, Pat?
Sure. And it wasn't my first time. I'm pretty sure it wasn't your first time either. But some folks it is, and it could be scary.
Right. Well, I think that was my first time.
Oh gosh, they stuck me with you.
Yeah, I tried not to. I didn't put that out there,
Oh my goodness.
Oh geez.
But that was really intense. But no, every was really cool, and and bringing the creatures to life, and it was just really spectacular.
Totally.
Awesome.
I'd have to say it was the learning of the molding, the steps of molding your teeth, and then the negative, and then the positive, and then the sculpt, and then you got to mold it again, and then the products that are used. That, I would say, that's the most because immersion in a character, you do the makeup, and then you do the contacts, and then the teeth, and then once you get into those layers, that's when things start to come alive. So for me, learning the dental, casting the teeth, and then back and forth, casting, molding, until you get an exact replica of something that fits on the individual's, dental structure perfectly. That's what was most impressive to me.
Well, yeah. Right, and that whole process of bringing a creature to life,
Yeah.
Like, is really just an amazing, process.
Yeah, and when I don't remember the artist's name, but one of the instructors, when they did the burnt werewolf, and we had built everything. They had made the prosthetics, they had airbrushed, and then they laid the hair, which was another technique, which was one of my favorite techniques, is hair laying. But the werewolf that the actual instructors made was blowing my mind. It was complete immersion, as far as I'm concerned. It was really amazing.
Now, Katie, this was the same exact place where I saw those pictures of yours for the Nosferatu teeth, right?
No, but that was the same artist. So Tyler Green had done the dental part of the FX class that Pat and I took.
Okay. That's cool. Tessa, is there anything that you'd like to ask about the university classes that they took for 5 days? Or do you think they pretty much...
I think they pretty well covered it, unless there's anything else they can think of to add about their experience. That's all I can really suggest.
Yeah, do you
Oh,
guys have
no.
anything else?
I mean, only that I was very, very thankful, and the things that I learned, that week definitely made my Krampus sculpt in particular uh, more over the top. I was doing it, but some of the direct hints and guidelines that they provided definitely made my work since then way better.
That's always good to hear. Like, it's always good to go in, and then when you come out of some like a class or really anything where you can like learn to enhance your abilities or skills, I should say, in this case, and then you go home and you actually notice that your own stuff even afterwards, and even 2 years down the road, like you, Pat and Katie. I mean, it showed, and maybe now you guys probably have found a new technique to help you guys even out faster or even better from just learning from the university program.
Totally.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things we learn too, right, Partrick, is that, really, like, every project is different, and I always stress that. Like, something will go wrong, something will be different. You could go through the same process 100 times, but something might be different, just even a little bit, and just how to adapt and kind of overcome, whatever that challenge, sometimes temperature is a factor in what you're doing, or things like that. So all those little things, it's always changing.
Oh yeah, the worst part of the program, that's another part they crammed in. The worst part of that program for me was the foam. I like to apply foam and color foam, but I don't think I'll ever try and make foam.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
they talk about the temperature and the humidity. It's too fiddly for me.
It's very, it's like baking. It's almost, it's an exact science. So it's like baking. Like, everything has to be a certain temperature and a certain humidity and blah blah blah, which makes it very, very, very challenging.
Man, at that rate, you just might as well get a greenhouse.
If I can only grow in the greenhouse.
Oh, geez.
I'd
All
be a
right.
millionaire.
Yeah, ain't that the case? So, Partrick, since this is your first time being here, and people like Tessa and I, even though you know Katie here, but for people like us and whoever's listening, can you give us a little origin story of what got you into the horror genre that made you want to start doing some special effects?
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you. It was totally my mom. When we were younger, I was probably introduced to Exorcist and Poltergeist way too early. She was always a huge Stephen King fan of reading the books, and there was books and everywhere. And she was also an artist herself, making our Halloween costumes from, like, I don't know. I have the earliest memories. I'm gonna go dig through the photos, but she would sew. She was a seamstress, had all kind of crafty skills, and she would create, like, I was Fu Manchu once, that my mom sewed together, and then I was a pumpkin once that my mom and my dad fabricated out of chicken wire, and they laid paper mache over it, and then we painted it together, and I was a pumpkin. So there was all these cool things. There were bears that my mom made, that the bellies were actually where we stored our candy, and the whole family we were a family of bears, and the bellies were the bags for the candy. And this is 30 years ago. And I grew up in the 80s. Well, I guess I grew up in the 70s, but I really was conscious in the 80s when practical effects and movies, Time Bandits, Leprechaun. I'm not so much of a slasher guy as I am a fantasy horror creature guy. I like a lot of 80s practical effects. So to loop back, it was my mom and her skills and her introducing me to horror and getting us excited for Halloween. That was basically where my love for all this came from. And then Paul, it was also that I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see. Here we are in 2019. I've been doing things, professionally for 4 years. I wasn't seeing anything that I wanted to see, so I decided to build it for myself.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't even think anybody's gonna ever top an origin story like that, because that's just amazing to hear. Like your mom doing all the fabrication, and I mean that's just incredible. I mean, like Katie said, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I loved it, man. She's passed away now, but she was great, and that's totally it. I can't really think of. I mean, I was probably traumatized watching The Exorcist, but it turned out okay, I suppose.
Well, that's good.
Hey,
We think. No.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, did it make you feel better? I mean, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I, snuck out of my bed and went downstairs and back at my old house back then, like where the living room was. It kind of connected to the kitchen, but like the way the walls were, it kind of acted like a door in like a really weird way. That's like the best way I can describe it. But anyway,
Okay.
I could like poke my head around this, like you could say door frame, even though it was a wall, but this wall, and I was watching Bram Stoker Dracula for like 10 minutes. So it was at the scene with the werewolf, with the lady on the table getting whatever was going on. Like, at the time I'm like, whoa, like what is this? Like, I don't even know if I should be watching this, but I'm just gonna watch this and see what's up with this. And then and then I'm just like, I think I've seen too much. So I'm gonna go to bed. So, so I think that was the first ever time I kind of felt traumatized by a movie. But I mean, I still love Bram Stoker Dracula to this day. But it's just kind of like you. I survived it.
Yeah,
But,
we're adjusted adults, well-adjusted adults.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't know about you, but normal people scare me. So, I mean,
Yes.
But one thing I want to say too, real quick, is may your mom rest in peace. She sounds like a really nice lady, and I mean, if she did all that for you when you were younger, I mean, I give her props too. So
Yeah, she sounds like she was a fantastic lady.
yes,
Yeah, she was cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's
you're
where
welcome.
it came from.
That's awesome. So funny enough, you did answer the first question there, Patrick. So I'm gonna skip over, and from your memory, what would your first FX makeup that you have ever created?
Well,
Make them think.
boy, that's hard.
We're good at
It is
that.
a hard one.
If you're talking about something I created from scratch, that's one thing. If you're talking about something that I'm proud of, that I had purchased and done some things, it was like '99, where I was first starting to apply prosthetics, and I had secured contact lenses. Even then, I had done a zombie. I had gotten a prosthetic from Scream Team, and even then, I think it was like $300 to get a prescription for contact lenses then, theatrical lenses. And the prosthetic was like $100, and then I got a suit, and I actually met Bruce Campbell at a convention, dressed as a zombie, and he signed a photo of me and him as the zombie, and all this great. It was one of my favorite memories, where I had done an application of a makeup professionally, and it was seen and recognized. So that was like '99. I had been doing other things before then, but it was like for my yard haunt.
Right.
I did a mummy all back through like '95 and '98. I was doing classic monsters, werewolf, or excuse me, I hadn't progressed to werewolf yet. It was the mummy. I did a Frankenstein, and then this zombie. where I had purchased components and then compiled everything. So it was it was probably that mummy or the zombie between like 98 and 2000, where I was starting to hone my foam application skills that I'm most proud of. That I could say that I was a makeup artist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I was doing all that, the cons. I'm an IT guy, telecommunications and information technology, and I was investing, $300-$400 in a costume, $500 in a costume, just to go to cons. And I did that for, many years, probably 10 years, 11 years. And then I decided I'm going to transform this into something other than wearing a costume to win costume contests. So from there, it progressed into independent film.
Nice. Well, I mean, like the amount of hours it takes, like, cosplay or otherwise, from creating and designing into getting into the character and developing the heart and soul of that creature from beginning to end.
Yes.
And what is your favorite part of that process?
Me?
And that's a hard one for me because
Yeah. What is your favorite part of the process? I mean, I hate every bit of it. It's a torture, and I'm compelled most days to do it, even when I don't want to.
Until you get it on, right? And I mean, is that, when you're like, yes, this is it. Like, it's that Frankenstein moment. It's that Frankenstein moment, I think, as Dick Smith put it, where wow, from beginning to end, and now I'm the creature, and this is it. And then that acting of the creature, I mean, because you kind of got to nail that too.
Yes, it's a whole body thing. It's definitely a whole body thing, to kind of, persuade the crowd that it's authentic and not just a costume.
Exactly.
Man. Well, first of all, I'm pretty jelly about that Bruce Campbell thing because he's like a really good actor, and I just love him in his Evil Dead, and I have yet to really see him in the Ash versus the Evil Dead. Yes, I know I'm slacking. I understand.
Good,
so I'm so sorry. But yeah, I mean, so kind of to carry on of what Katie was talking about with the whole performing the creature and kind of thing, like, so how would you, Partrick, get yourself into the mindset of a creature?
Well, the first thing that you want to think of is to not move like a human. If you move at all like a human, you totally just forget about it. Because I've seen photos where I haven't bothered to take a stance or whatever in one of the costumes. So you have to think, if you're being looked at and you're in the character, to always articulate your body in such a way that you're not just standing, you're always coming up with your shoulders are higher and your back is arched and your legs are like you're standing on a horse. Those type of things. That's the immersion part of it, And once you get it on, no matter what it is, it's pretty easy to become immersed. Katie, how about you?
Well, yeah, but I think it definitely does take some, like you said, like that creature moves. Like, how is this creature, like, thinking about how does this creature move? Not like a human, and really it's a lot of physical preparedness, becoming the creature.
Absolutely. And some of my stuff is like, you can't really breathe, can't really see. It's heavy, it's hot.
Exactly. And you're spending hours in that makeup or costume, during a shoot or, in the chair getting prepared to become that creature. And then, like, for you in a shoot, you're spending hours in that makeup, in that costume, sweating, working through the pain and the struggle, and still trying to remain in character, right? And producing those body movements that you have to do, and maybe it hurts, or maybe it's a little sweaty, or
Oh yeah. Hey, speaking of that, the most realistic creature suit thing I did, where I made a bunch of money, was it was the DC Lottery Walking Dead scratch offs, and they had filmed a commercial with a zombie breaking through a door, like you talking about repeated movements in the hot heavy makeup with lights and cameras for hours. This is probably the 12th or 14th hour in. And the makeup was starting to fall off, and they had all been able to stop and have dinner, and I couldn't eat because I was in the makeup.
Yep, absolutely.
That's out there, and it was amazing, and I took the whole next day to recover, actually.
Well, yeah, and you're pushing through that. You're like, I've got to do this. I have to remain in this character, and I've just got to, it's almost like, I just got to keep going.
Yes. Yeah, I actually was dying, and I was waiting for the makeup to fail, and thankfully it did.
Well, I know sometimes it can take 8 hours or more just to get whoever prepared for the creature role, too. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what would it really take to make it 8 hours, except for, having to do all the makeup, get all the prosthetics, I guess, assembled to your face, or all the gory parts, make the gore, if you're got bitten on the side of the face and stuff. I mean, it can just take a long ass time, and then
if it's 8 hours,
yeah,
if it's 8 hours, it's probably like a whole body thing, like Drax or something crazy. If you're just doing some facial prosthetics, it's 2 to 3 to 4 hours.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's not horrible, but yeah, I mean, the full body thing already sounds horrible, because you got to think, if somebody stays in the chair for 8 hours and then they got to shoot for the rest of the day, oh man. I mean, just to maybe, like you, Partrick, not get that one bite to eat. So this guy's probably thinking like you, like, oh God, this stuff needs to just fall off already so I can go home and eat or whatever. I mean, and then yeah. I mean,
it makes a long day, from beginning to end, and especially like Partrick, you mean, you're not only building the creature, you are the creature, and that's a long day, from a plot application to going to do what the shoot or whatever it is you're doing. That's a long day, and it's very draining, but
love it.
pushing through that because of the love of what we're doing.
It's absolutely. Whoop, crazy cat time.
Well,
I mean, going back, Lon Chaney, he was the same thing. He was a makeup artist and also a creature actor, in The Hunchback in Notre Dame and things like that. I mean, and just the hours of and to do that, and to be physically and mentally prepared to do that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. It's definitely a different thing, I mean, I'm just a normal person too, but I walked in the mayor's parade in my one of my costumes, Krampus costume, and we walked 3 miles, and that's made out of 5 Icelandic sheepskin pelts, 2 horsetails, and the horns are like 3 feet long, and it's 8 foot tall, close to 8 foot tall. And it was 65 degrees.
Yeah, that sounds hot and sweaty.
Oh, I was about to die. Honestly, when we got to the end, it was crazy. I'll do it again next year, but I'll make better preparations with camelback or something.
Yeah, maybe some puncture holes so you can at least breathe.
I mean, I can breathe. It's just still can't breathe, if that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah.
I'm not blocked. It's just you get so hot and steamed, and you're presenting the character in front of, I swear there probably was 20,000 people or more watching us. And I put my old costume on a friend who's an author of Weird New Jersey, Weird Pennsylvania, and those weird books, that one's not as hot, so he's picking up the slack where I'm slowing down. So the next version will be lighter and a little different and designed a little better.
Well, I'm going. Well, I was just going to say real quick to kind of, before I forget for my train of thought here, but Patrick, when you were talking about with that other question about talking about like your favorite or first or whatever, what was your favorite FX makeup that you did create to date?
It would have to be, as far as I haven't done any makeups recently. It's mostly been fabrication. It would have to be this werewolf, but it's a variety of molding and casting and coloring paints. It's the same processes, but it's not like a makeup, so to speak. It's more of a fabrication, and then people fit the suit like armor over me. So that's my favorite thing that I've built so far. If you want a makeup that I've done recently, what have I done recently? I really haven't done any makeups recently. It's all been masks. So I couldn't really say. I know. This was probably 2 years ago. We did a car commercial for Jerry's Mitsubishi, and we turned a bunch of people into that. That's most recent. It was just a simple tissue paper and latex and grease paint thing, but we got a lot of and I didn't even put myself in the commercial. I put all my friends in it, but I turned the contact into one of the main zombies. And again, I think Lauren went on. We got paid on that one. Lauren went with me on that one. And so yeah, I mean, that's one of the most recent makeups I did, was just a simple zombie for a commercial. But he looked really good, walking amongst those Mitsubishis.
Nice. And I'm sorry, Katie, what were you going to say?
I don't know. I got caught up in the Mitsubishi monster. I love that. That's awesome.
Just some zombies that we had done, but they turned out really good. It was like three of us, me, Katie, and then the main zombie. He did himself, but they really looked good. But I kind of moved away from zombies, and I've been doing more demon stuff.
Right. I love though how it seems to be like one of the things that we all go back to is the classics, the classic Universal monsters. You were saying like, your first makeups were, Frankenstein's monster and werewolves and
yes,
because those are the pivotal, times for like, makeup art and creatures and creature acting.
Yes. Yeah, I would love to loop back and make a Frankenstein, a custom Frankenstein, and do a makeup application. But yeah, it's all those classics.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive work so far, from what I'm already hearing.
You have to love it, Paul. You have to love it. If you don't love it, don't do it, because it's super competitive.
Oh yeah, it's all about the passion.
Totally.
What was your least favorite FX makeup, and what did you not like about it?
I know we got to make you think again.
No, I know this one. We did some blue demons on a project that originally were turning out okay, and then we couldn't afford to keep doing it that way, but we kept filming, and they got crappier and crappier, and then I had to be a blue demon, and then the people who did me did a terrible job, and I looked horrible. So if you ever, I don't even know if it's still out there, but it's How the West Was Dead, and it's some beautiful photography, beautiful cinematography, but the makeup effects in there for the blue demons, it's not the best. I'm not super proud of the whole project.
As soon as
but that's part of the learning process, right? I mean, you go, you do things, and you're like, like I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Or, and it's like, okay, how did this move and make it better? And,
Yes, absolutely.
It is always the good thing. The learning process of all of this,
Well, I wasn't airbrushing then either. Yeah, I wasn't airbrushing then either on that project. So now with airbrushing skills, it's a different ball game, and I know you're probably a better airbrusher than me.
I don't know about the airbrushing. I love it. It's super fantastic. Or I'm like, I just need to go back to regular. I mean, it really depends on what you're doing, but it's yeah. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing and how to do it. But airbrushing is so awesome. I love it.
Airbrushing already sounds like the most difficult thing to probably learn, just because I've seen some of those videos where it looked like these guys are really being like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's almost like they got a stone face staring at whatever they're looking at while they're getting that right angle for the airbrush or something. So I've never used one, so I wouldn't even know what to expect for one of these things, but they look like they're crazy as hell to try to learn though.
They are, and I mean, in airbrushing, sometimes, I mean, like I said, you can't just rely on airbrushing. I mean, you have to break it up with other things. I mean, simple things like I never thought I'd learn or use, I should say, not learn, but use that I learned was like, spackling, basically, like that, literally like taking the brush and throwing like some paint,
Yep.
to break up the other paint, the airbrush paint, you do the little spray and, with your brush, almost like that throwing paint thing.
Yep. I learned that too, but I learned that on our whole project.
Jesus. Wow. Well, so Patrick, what
and each project's different.
Yeah. But what are some of your favorite idols?
Tom Savini till I met him. Oh no, I love you, Tom Savini. Rick Baker. Geez, the Stan Winston stuff. It's Craig Nicotero. I mean, it's all the names. Anybody that knows anybody doing stuff is going to know is going to have the same. But I like Rick Baker in particular because he's got more creature stuff and werewolf stuff. And I even Jim Henson, with the Labyrinth work, the work for Labyrinth, and all that stuff. All that stuff is what has the 80s, those 80s, back to the 80s stuff. It's that type of what was it, Dusk Till Dawn. Oh my gosh.
I love Dusk Till Dawn too.
Oh man, dude, that's the best.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen, once again, I have not seen the Dusk Till Dawn TV show either, so I have no idea what had changed or made or whatever.
Yeah, I stopped watching that. It's not, you know, I definitely love From Dusk Till Dawn 1. It's that's one of the projects that, you know, I'm sure even Katie and Tessa, all of us, that's one of those projects that we all love. You know, Quentin Tarantino, it's amazing. George Clooney.
Yeah, I mean there's so many good, you know, I mean when I think of every creature I've ever seen and or like, you know, really creature heavy movies, and then like, you know, the really good ones that stick out is like that, you know, it's just it's just amazing. It amazes me to see these types of makeups and the people in these makeups, you know, just having to be in the makeups, do the makeups. It's just there are so many good movies. I mean, and going way back, and I think we all go in the Wayback Machine, like, cause like how amazing was it, especially in the 80s when it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of, you know, CGI stuff, and there was, you know, it was all practical effects. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, way back, you know, 30s starting out, all practical effects, and just how amazing and how those creatures live with us still, you know, from the original Gilman, you know, to the original werewolf, how those creatures still impact us to this day.
Huh. I'm speechless.
I know, it's heavy, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually an interesting point that you bring up, Katie, because I'll skip to this question real quick just because of the fact that you mentioned, you know, the old monsters and stuff and how they stay with us. And speaking of like practical effects, is Patrick, what are your thoughts on today when it comes between practical effects versus the whole CGI bullshit?
Well, there's a place for everything, and everything in its place. I know a lot of people, like for Avatar, for instance, don't like Avatar because it's such heavy use. I love Avatar. I love the story. I love everything about it. I know I have talked to a few folks and seen things where makeups are interacted with green screens so that they can erase part of a person's face or something. So then there's makeups that include both technology.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So and there might be something like that happening potentially in one of these future projects that I'm thinking of, that I've been told we're going to work on, and I've been told I've been considered. So we'll see how things work out.
I mean, you even think of creature actors like Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings, who played Gollum. That was a CGI performance capture, you know, which was still amazing and really brought that character to life, even though Gollum was CGI. If it wasn't for Andy's acting in that, you know, it would never have been what it was.
No, absolutely. And you guys, I'm sure we all love that. We all love Lord of the Rings too, I'm sure. But when Gollum is arguing with himself, I get emotional, and then he wins. You know what I'm talking about. He's like, he goes away and he never comes back.
Right.
And oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
It is. So I think I mean, it is absolutely, you know, sometimes there is a marriage, you know, between, you know, practical and CGI, which is really great. And, you know, because there was a time that I feel we got out of the practical and we went, you know, CGI too much. And now it's really a marriage between the both.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's way more expensive to create, you know, practical effects than it is CGI. So, as long as people like Fright Night, for instance. Oh my gosh, Fright Night. Who doesn't love Fright Night? 1985. The Howling, stuff like that. But the practical effects cost more. So if you use the CG to gain something that you can't do practically, or to do something to where there's a benefit, you don't use it sparingly enough for something that doesn't get overused, then I'm for it,
Absolutely.
Your Krampus is very impressive. How long did it take you to mold and assemble it?
Oh, geez. I would say that probably took a year and a half. It was over a period of time because when I start sculpting, a lot of times I don't know exactly what I'm going to sculpt. So the sculpt itself takes a couple months to where it refines and tells me what it is. And then from the sculpting process, it's the molding. What are you doing, cat? I have a cat in front of me. Sorry, climbing on my keyboard here. Hi, buddy. And then the molding, and then when it came time after the molding to have it ready, I think I was like 2 or 3 weeks out from what they call Krampus Loft, where like in DC it's a couple thousand people, in Baltimore it's 200 or 300 people. We all don crazy costumes. Here, get down, cat. Sorry. And just drink beers and run through the city jingling bells and tormenting people. So I had to finish it came close, but at the last 2 weeks I was crunched for time, and I was working, like whenever I wasn't working, I was waking up, doing a step that had to dry, and then I would do another step, and then I would add a piece of hair, and then I would paint it one layer, because you use 3 or 4 different colors of paint to get depth, so you do it, you let it dry, and then you dry brush and you do different layers. So that takes time, and I made horns over that year's period, because the horns are it's basically ceiling grid wire with bubble wrap and masking tape, and that's what the horns are. So and then I got stuck making the suit, which is sheepskin pelts, and my girlfriend, I love Gina, hello, she'll hear this, I think, helped me finish the suit. So we were able to make it with one of the most coolest costumes. I mean, the DC one, there are some people that have some impressive things. It's amazing. And the Baltimore one, mine is obviously the craziest. But even in DC, mine is still craziest. But there's other crazy costumes as well. But yeah, it's about a year and a half. It's a whole bunch of different processes. And it was very expensive. It's like I said, compulsion. I can't stop myself.
For sure, I hear you on those aspects, for real. Like, it's expensive, it's time consuming, but it's the love of doing it.
Yeah, and to see that real fur, which the fur was, I think it's like $1,200 in fur, which the next one will be much about
on
half
on an 8-foot Krampus.
Yes. These are authentic. It's five authentic Icelandic sheepskin pelts that were about $180 a piece, and 2 horsetails, 36-inch horsetails that were $55 a piece. So that's what gives it the authentic flow. But the next version I have planned will be a few $100 less, and it'll be breathable and lightweight and still look as good. So yeah, you have to invest in these things to build the crazy stuff that people will remember.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That is one expensive Krampus.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's not including making it. That has nothing to do. I've got leather, other bits of leather for the straps, and there's a warbler under skeleton, and there's other components.
Speaking of your 8-foot Krampus, what were some of the difficulties that you had in making it?
You know what? I would say that the most difficult thing is just to be able to find the time and the money. For me, anyway, the mold gets kind of heavy. If you talk about a physical difficulty, when you make the mold from the clay and then pulling the bust out and trying to clean the clay out of the mold, and then you're putting the latex back in the mold, and you got to roll the mold so the latex is even and it dries distributed, and so that's physical. You've got a 50-pound mold. It just depends on what you mean when it's difficult. Just after you've done it for so long, you get tired of looking at it and you get angry and you're like, why am I doing this? Just making yourself do it until it's finished. That in alone is a difficulty. I don't know, Katie, do you experience that when you work something for so long that you just got tired of it, you just want it done, that type of thing?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. When you were saying these words, I was like, I feel this pain right now. And yeah, absolutely. It is. It's pushing yourself again through that, and it's hard. It's hard because it's all a lot of work.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. I have no words right now because what you just said is like resonating with me. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a project I have to finish. I need to, I need to do that. I need to push myself through it.
Well, what makes it a little easier is having like 5 or 6 at once, and then you can put one down and start something else, and then when you get bored with that, pick it up and put something else. That's how I kind of deal with it, is having a few that I work on concurrently.
Oh, nice. I like that. I I have 2.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Partrick, from looking at the IMDb of yours, I've noticed that you perform as creatures more than actual people. Now, is that because you'd rather portray monsters, or is it just a preference that you would, or is it just a preference that way that you would rather be a creature versus an actual human being?
Well, the short answer is I'm a terrible actor, Paul, and so it's really easy to play monsters. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I'm serious.
I was going to say, no, it's not easy to play monsters.
Well, I'll be honest. I think it's partially because if you're on IMDb, you see what I look like, and I'm 6'7" with no shoes on, and I'm 240 pounds. So I'm going to get typecast. You know what I mean? And it's better to. What's that?
I said I think so. I think I know what you mean.
Well, I'm not going to get cast as the friendly father type who's afraid the burglars are going to break into his house.
Oh, right.
I'm not going to get cast in a car commercial. I have too distinctive a look, and I'm too large. I actually had other opportunities in the past where I wound up being too tall.
Really?
Yeah, they liked my look, and I was given opportunity. I was given, you do auditions and then you get callbacks and things like that. But I wound up being too tall. I still had some pretty wonderful opportunities, being as tall as I am. But I think it has its limitations, as far as being an actor and showing my face, and maybe that's, I'm creating those limitations for myself. I know the gentleman, the little person from Game of Thrones, I can't think of his name right now, but he said I'm not going to do little person roles. And then he did, because he succeeded as not little person roles. So maybe I'm just limited, but I make my living as a consultant, and this is a hobby, but it's a professional hobby. So maybe I just need to refocus how I look at it, and but really it really goes back to, I do it for the effects, I do it for the monster, I do it to present things that I haven't seen. But I wasn't Bill Tillman in the Outlaws as just a giant kind of a slow guy, where it was just me. I let my beard and my hair grow out for like 6 months. So I have done things where it's just a person. It's not that I haven't. It's just I typically chase the crazy things.
The creature acting, yeah, and that's so important too. Like, I mean, I just think of all the creature actors, and how important they play a part. I mean, look at Kane Hodder in Friday the 13th. Jason, super big guy, and just, I mean, you couldn't have had anybody else do these things, like, where their physical acting is the thing, like, you can have actors that say lines and do this and do that, but the physical acting sometimes, it's a specialty.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was pretty amazed when Kane was gonna be doing the stunts and stuff for the Friday the 13th game that came out last year. And, seeing the behind the scenes photos and some of the behind the scenes videos that Kane Hodder did for that game is just so impressive, especially when he had to, be Jason to break through the fake wall. But that was even like awesome to watch. And, kind of like what Partrick said, like just trying to be the creature where you don't want to walk like a human in something. But I mean, in this case, sometimes you just gotta maybe look like you're human just so you don't also hurt yourself when doing the stunts as well, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so they had Kane do that for the video game, because, I mean, he was like the Jason, he has the stance. It's all about your gestures and your persona, even if you don't even have a line, it's how is that body being presented? I mean, right, Partrick?
Yeah, so you're telling me they did motion capture with actual Kane Hodder for the actual video game. I'm gonna have to Google that. That's pretty.
I think they cool. did. Yeah, I think it was motion capture too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Katie. I was still on the last thought.
Oh, that's okay. Well, no, they do that with a lot of video games now. Like, I think they did that with some of the Walking Dead video games, like, with some of the cast from that. I want to say Norman, maybe.
Yeah, Norman is gonna be playing a main protagonist for an upcoming video game called Death Stranding. So.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, and this game looks. I don't even know how else to say this, but it looks fucking creepy. There, I said it. It's just so messed up in the head that it's Kojima too. So if you put Kojima with it too, it's just like, this is already so weird. Like the last thing that Tessa and I saw of this game for Death Stranding with Norman Reedus, it had something involving a invisible enemy where Norman Reedus had a baby. I'm trying to remember.
Did Norman Reedus have the baby,
Wait,
or did he have?
didn't he just recently have a baby anyway?
No. I'm talking in the game.
Right. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, that is true. I think he did have a baby too. But how ironic. There's the irony right there, I think. And no, but oh man, he would no, but in the game there's a do you remember, was it on his back or in the front of him? It was really weird. Like it was
inside of. Was he in a suit? He was in a suit, right?
Yeah, he had to be in a suit.
It was like in a lantern type of thing, or like a sphere of some kind, and he had it like on his hip or something.
Yeah, it's so screwed up. Like I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen the trailer to just go on YouTube and look up Death Stranding, and you'll find it. I know you will, but
I will have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just creepy, and it's really weird because there was another interview with Kojima where they were trying to ask him, "What is this game even?" And Kojima said something on like, quote, "I don't know." so
there you go again with the whole creature acting or is like, the body movements. They use it in video games. They use it in, CGI. They use it in practical effects. It's like your gestures, your movements are so pivotal to bringing those things to life.
Exactly.
So hats off, Partrick, for sure, because I don't think I could be in an 8-foot Krampus costume. That's a lot of work.
Yes, it's very rewarding, though. You feel good afterwards. I look back, and I see the video of the things I've done. Really, I do these things so when I'm 80 and I can't walk anymore, I'll be like, holy shit, I did a life full of things and made monsters. And I'm almost, well, I won't say. I'm getting older. I'm much older than
awesome.
People think,
That's
and I think that's incredible. I love it. You do it for you. You do it for your passion, just as I do. And it's like, yeah, even if I don't remember the scrapbooks or whatever, like we did it. It's been fantastic.
We did do it. We did it. We're doing it.
We're doing it now. Yeah. But real quick, Partrick, where is this Krampus even from, anyway?
I mean, it's a Norwegian legend, predates Christianity. Gosh, it's I don't even know. My girlfriend knows more about it. It's like the Yule Lord. He's really kind. The story has been usurped and twisted by different things. It's a pagan thing, but basically, it's if you go by what's being told now, it's Saint Nick's compadre on a chain that kind of punishes the bad kids. You want to keep it simple,
right?
And Saint Nick controls him.
Saint Nick controls him, huh? Oh, that's a new one.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the mythos. If you watch the movies, they've taken their own spin on the story. We have our own spin on our take on who he is and why he's present and what he's doing. So yeah, it's if you go to look in the Netherlands and things like that, they go around December 5th with a Saint Nick character and multiple Krampus and go house to house. And the Saint Nick is the kind one, and the Krampus punishes the bad kids.
Well, and I think in some stories, there's actually 7 like Santa's helpers, I guess you could say. In one of the stories I heard, so there's not only Krampus and Saint Nick, there's like 4 other ones, or maybe 3 other ones. I can't remember.
Oh, there's Bells Nichols. I mean, I don't even know. There's a whole ton of the various, old school, traditional, creepy Christmas characters. We're actually exploring them
I was going to say, we need to bring them all back.
Schnabelperchen. Look up Schnabelperchen. There were a bunch of those at the Krampus Loft this year. And Gina actually went live. We had a GoPro attached to the staff, and she went live for the 2-3 miles of the Krampus Loft.
Which that staff was amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's still put together. It's a what is it? A coyote skull with deer antlers, and then some other Christmassy looking doodads.
And a GoPro.
Yeah, we met, and she would hold it up on her belt and film. It's all out there. I'm going to edit something soon. I've been editing other things and haven't had time to fiddle with that. I need a personal editor.
So you mentioned your werewolf at the beginning. So let's go back to that. When you were creating your werewolf, you went through like 3 different processes. Can you describe the building of your werewolf?
Sure. Well, we designed and built the werewolf to match the Krampus outfit. And the werewolf was totally designed for the Theater of Terror's project called Endangered. And so I had a little help financially when I went to build that. In the initial sculpts, I couldn't see it. So I was the initial trying to figure out what the wolf looked like. It was terrible. And so that phase was horrible. And then once I got into the, I found it and I started dialing it in. I was happy. And then it was like, I think it was 110 degrees when I went into the molding phase. It was at least 105. And I'm not kidding. So I'm in that type of work, and I'm out on my dad's driveway, and I'm molding the top half, and it was hot, and I was stressed, and the snout broke. So right there, I caused myself another problem. Was I broke the snout off of the top half of the werewolf mold. So I think I used liquid nails, and I glued it back on, and then you have to do some fixing of the seam, but it turned out okay. And that's the third phase. That right there was, pouring the latex, getting it prepared, and then applying the hair, which we actually purchased another sheepskin pelt for the werewolf's head. So there was another $180, but that actually was paid for by Thomas Ryan. I love you, brother. I'll see you this weekend or last weekend when I don't know when this will air, January 12th. This was specifically made for the Theater of Terror's Endangered, and I had a limited time on this one. So it really became crunch time because they had $1 million cabin secured on the Pine Barrens in New Jersey's Eastern Shore, and it was crews and everybody waiting, making sure this thing was going to be ready. And up to the day I was putting finishing touches, dialing in the fur, putting little paint spots on it. That third phase of finishing it and making it ready for film came, and I was working pretty steady during that time too. So I was working for 2 hours on this, and then going to work for 8 hours, and then coming home and working for 4 hours, and then sleeping for 6 hours. And it was really a labor of love just to get it ready, on my word for Thomas, just so that, we weren't screwed. And that's the other thing is I like to look good. I like the makeups to look cool and be something memorable. So, that third phase was rough, and it looks good, and everybody's happy. And I get to see that this weekend, and DVDs and Blu-rays are available on theaterofterror.net. There's a plug.
There it is. But no, it was really cool to see like photos where I think there was one you had that showed like the clay to form the face and stuff, and then I saw it like with like a green screen that ended up on the computer, which you saw the werewolf on the computer screen, and then from there you actually saw I'll say, for lack of word in here, is like kind of like the final piece, I guess, where you actually saw, I'm assuming, the clay with the fur. So,
Yeah. I was initially working off an artist I had found, Christopher Scalf, I believe it is, an artist I had found online, and I was working kind of inspiration from his work, and then I just found it, and it was a process. Let me tell you, the jaw. I mean, everything we explained for the head, the jaw was a complete separate build, a separate sculpt, a separate molding process, separate laying of the hair. It was crazy.
It already sounds crazy.
I don't even, honestly, Paul and Tessa and Katie, I get to doing these things, and it might be in the middle of the night. I'll wake up in a fever, and I'll come out here and make stuff, and then I'll go back to sleep, and then it's both a love, yeah, it's both a love affair and yeah.
And a nightmare at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it keeps you up at night, you know? Sometimes.
Especially the mind. Especially
the creative mind doesn't really rest.
No, it does not.
Sometimes it does not know how to shut off, if at all.
Absolutely.
You are going to build this until it is finished, and you are not getting one brownie until it is finished.
Dude, I've heard that voice.
You will finish this.
You will do it.
Come hell or high water.
Exactly.
Do the project now.
Do it now.
Or in our case, snow and ice and whatever.
Yeah.
We're like mailmen, right? I mean, you know, rain, sleet, snow, it doesn't matter. It's getting done.
Absolutely.
I need to go out and shovel, though. I guess I can do this first.
Hey, my girlfriend and I, whenever we look forward to it snowing, because we always take the suit out into the snow and just even film with the cell phone. Just Krampus running through the snow, and we'll remember that, you know. Nice. Crazy stuff like that. Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, because Krampus should be running through the snow. I'm going to send it your way.
Right?
Yeah. Well, this year, if we get around to it, we'll add a kill to the end of that.
Well, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see what the A4 guy can do.
Yeah, that already, Krampus.
Right?
Yeah, well, this Krampus doesn't know children. He kills adults who have been misbehaved as well.
Good Krampus. Good Krampus.
Right. I mean,
yeah. I guess like Robin Hood.
Right. I think sometimes adults are worse than children. So,
agreed.
Kudos. Yes.
Always.
Well, there is a Krampus movie where he doesn't go just after the children; he goes after the parents too. So
that is true. Yes.
I mean, I think we're all guilty some way, one way or another, anyway. So I think it's always cool to have that idea that Krampus just doesn't go after the naughty children. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty sweet. And the movie I'm kind of referencing is the 2015 one by Michael Daltrey, that Krampus one. I freaking love that movie.
Was that the one with the several different stories like interweaved into it?
Correct. Or no, that was the Christmas Horror Story. Christmas
Oh,
Horror.
you're right. You're right. Yep.
Oh, you're talking about the one with the grandma.
Yes, I'm talking the one with the grandma.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And then for the one that Katie's talking about is the Christmas Horror Story, where there's like 4 or 5 stories going on at once, but they all tie in one way or another.
Yes.
So, yeah, props on that. But
hey, I want my Krampus to kill things.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of and speaking of which, Partrick, when it comes to like acting and stuff, and speaking of Krampus, like you performing Krampus, is what are some other things that you would love to act as if given the chance?
Oh, I would love to do an alien. Other than, I mean, I've just done Abducted with Theater of Terror, and that was amazing. But I would love to do a big budget, Hollywood alien. I'm going back to the gym this year, and work on my cardio a little bit. But I would love to be, on like something like Vikings, play one of those type of characters, or if we're still talking about Preachers, I understand they're going to come back and shoot a bunch of Universal monster movies. I would love to do something like that. Personally, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I don't know if the rat is the official mascot of the city, but it should be. Next, personally, I want to create sort of a rat, animatronic rat, silicone rat head, and portray myself as a rat in like a 1920s businessman suit. Gene and I thought about that and talked about it. And we don't know what that means yet, but he's got a monocle and a top hat, and there's servos and stuff under the silicone. So as an actor, it's hard to say. You don't really make a living as an actor. It's tax time, and I've been reviewing how much it's cost me to be an actor. Now, mind you, it's been priceless, right? My experiences have been priceless, but the actual calling yourself an actor and doesn't pay very well. I've actually spent more money being an actor this year than I've earned as an actor, but the experiences have been priceless. So that keeps me from really saying, hey, I'm going to be an actor. Am I going to be a doctor on a soap opera or something like that? No, I don't think so.
Crazy. But then again, like you're right. I mean, I know a lot of people think when they hear the word actor, they think, "Oh, I'm gonna get rich and famous." No. And we all start small, just like I did, and it's the only thing that I did so far, have done, I should say. And I don't call myself an actor. I just say that I helped performed in it, I guess. I mean, I guess every now and then I'll say I acted as a cameraman, but we all know what happens to cameraman in found footage, and that's usually how I leave it. But I mean, so that's actually, Partrick, how me and Katie went through that for the same project, because she acted in the second story, and she came on board for our story because her daughter was in it, and she was also doing the makeup for us and stuff like that. So it was a really cool experience, wasn't it, Katie?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy. Partrick, you said, kind of jack of all trades. We're behind the camera, we're in front of the camera, we're creating, we're all doing all these different roles, and it's a fantastic love affair with the business.
Well, that's true too. And I took a couple classes this year, where I'm going to write all that off on my taxes, but I took a couple classes, and they tell you where you're not just an actor. You have to have multiple. You have to be special effects artist. You have to be a production assistant. You have to be so that you can move from that one contract gig to the next and be able to, you know, keep seeking that next opportunity to be able to do that full time.
Well, and I think in life that's always a good thing, you know, like never stop learning. You know, keep pushing yourself to do different things and try different things. And I think that's a fantastic way to go about life, is just to never stop learning and just continually grow. You know, don't be put in a box, you know. Like you said, I'm not just an actor. I'm not just this. I'm not just that. I can fill any kind of role as best way I can.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And her daughter did a fantastic job.
Sweet. I have to see the project.
Yeah, well, I'll share it with you. But you know, it's so funny because now she has, so much as your mother influenced you, like I have influenced my daughter in the same way. So your story really struck a chord with me. You know, of that, like, because she loves makeup and she loves cosplay and she loves dressing up and she loves this and that. So your story of your mother, like, was like,
Hey, and this was 30 years ago, or 40, you know, 38 years ago.
Yeah, and I just took my daughter to her first convention, and she did a cosplay of the little teddy bear girl from The Walking Dead, and she ate it up. She loved it. She was totally in character. She was like, I was like, Mems, come on, we gotta hurry. We gotta get here. We gotta get there. And she's like, Mom, I'm walking like a zombie. I'm in character. Leave me alone. I'm good.
I love it. Well, you know, conventions are really a good place to get some exposure and to network a little bit and to practice your craft.
I agree.
You cut out on me, Tessa. What was it?
I said, is there any upcoming projects that you can share?
Well, definitely it's upcoming for release would be Bill Tillman and the Outlaws, which is a Bill Tillman and the Outlaws. It's hard to frame it. It's coming in February. I guess it's a comedy drama action cowboy film that we filmed in West Virginia. And man, I got to work with Johnny Alonzo, got to work with Lana Wood, I got to work with Robert Carradine and the whole Johnny Crawford and Darby Hinton. Oh my gosh, Ken Arnold and so many other folks on that one. You can see me riding in a 102-year-old Model T through a 100-acre field with Lana Wood in that one. I'm not going to give any of the story away. You'll have to somehow catch it, buy the DVD or something, and it'll premiere in West Virginia in February 7th, I believe. But yeah, Bill Tillman and the Outlaws, and then there's I've heard rumors of Territory 3, but so far that's just rumors. Other than that, that's the big things right now. Just the Theater of Terror is coming up for release, and Bill Tillman and the Outlaws. That's One on Dwarfs Productions. Wayne Shipley and his amazing crew of folks will be sometime in February. Other than that, I haven't nothing really planned other than my own project, which is kind of on hold right now. Don't open until Krampus, which is kind of a pet project that we started a few years ago, which may become something someday. Other than that, no, there's nothing on the horizon. I need to do some due diligence and send out some casting notices and things like that to see who I can get involved with. I'd love to have an agent. If you know of any agents, I feel like I'm talented enough. Send me an agent.
Well, if we come across it, we'll send them your way.
Please.
Before I get to the last question, Katie, is there anything that you would like to ask Partrick that we haven't?
Jeez. I really, I think I've asked them all. Just, Partrick, you're amazing. Your creature design, I guess as a final thought, your creature designing, your creature acting is just amazing. And, you influence me. And, I thank you for that. When I see you doing a project, I'm like, that's so amazing. And it's wonderful. And, just best of luck. And I love it. And keep it going, because you're inspiring me. So that's kind of all I have to say. I don't think I have any more questions.
Nice.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I've been thinking about that lately. So not just you, but others, and I appreciate that, because there's folks who inspire me, and it's great to be inspired and be inspiring, and sometimes we need that, and it's cool to watch other artists and be inspired too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I can contact you and be like, hey, help me out, or what do you think about this? And like, again, going back to that networking thing is just super important, to my heart and stuff. So
Aw.
Aw, I love you, Katie.
The moment of mush.
The mush moment.
Okay, so
well, we have to stay together. I mean, we're all family. Our passions all connect, and so being part of this family is super important and super spectacular.
Totally.
So my final question for you, Partrick, is what would be your advice for people wanting to start in FX makeup?
Don't do it. Well, first of all, honestly, think about it. There are a lot of people that are interested in it. It's very competitive. Initially, expect to spend a lot more money to learn. YouTube is great. It really is. YouTube techniques, how to do different things. It really is kind of cool. Some things are better than others. There's classes. Conventions are a great place to kind of present your work for free and network with independent filmmakers. Other than that, make sure you have a real job. That would be the best advice. Have your special effects interests and passions, and definitely chase your dreams, but also have your A plan where your day job. I don't have a day job, but I've had in the past. I'm kind of a senior member, own my own company now, independent. So I'm flexible, but I did have many jobs for a long time where I wasn't as flexible. So just follow your dreams and practice.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
And if you practiced, guess what? Practice again.
And again. And again. And again.
And buy good materials. That was one thing people used to laugh at me about. I would spend, when I did that first makeup we talked about, when I met Bruce Campbell, the prosthetic was $75. The contacts were like $300, and the makeups were another $80 because I was using Ben 9 or Graftobian grease paints and good stuff, So that was, almost 20 years ago, and I was doing. It really looked good. Bruce Campbell said that you scare me on his signature of the picture of us. So you have to invest to do things right, is my point in that. So expect to be able to spend your own money to become a makeup artist.
That is pretty good advice, I will say, for sure. And now that I'm thinking about it, Partrick, is there any type of specific materials that you would recommend?
It depends on what you're trying to pull off. But if you're trying to do something professional and have it done well, you're not going to want to go to Party City or Spirits Halloween. You're going to go online and you're going to get some Graftobian products or Ben 9. I don't really stand. I don't get paid for any marketing or anything like that. But you're going to want to get something of quality. You don't want to skimp on products you're putting around your eyes or near your mouth or in your ears.
I agree.
Don't, and it's just a matter of safety. If you're working on someone other than yourself, or you're working with a new product that you haven't tested on yourself before, different glues or different latexes, like some latexes are more caustic than others. Some glues are more caustic than others. Some people's skin's more sensitive than others. You're always going to want to try out something on your hand first, to make sure that you don't have a reaction, or the person that you're applying the makeup to doesn't have a reaction. And I know some of that cheaper stuff, if it's sitting around for a while, it's not as good. You're going to want to spend a little bit more and get something a little more quality. That's just for safety precautions, so you don't blind anyone or give anyone a rash or anything along those lines.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that too. But on that note, Katie, Partrick, thank you both for joining. Well, and Katie, thank you for helping when you could too. It was definitely great to have another person who knows a little bit more FX too than Tessa and I. So it kind of helped for sure. Partrick, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, Paul, thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Partrick.
Thank you, Tessa. You too.
Yeah. And
well, thank you guys as well. It's as always a good time. It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. And Partrick, for those listening, if they wanted to try to find you to keep up with everything Partrick Boyer is doing, where can people find you, or at least find some cool information on updates of projects that you are doing?
Boneman.tv.
Boneman.tv. There you go, everybody. And
Boneman.
Boneman. Yeah. Don't do what Partrick first did when he was trying to show me the site. He tried to send me bonema.tv, and I was like, what? And he's like, I meant Bone Man. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds better.
Yeah, that works better.
Yes. And yeah, so once again, Partrick, thank you. And then for Katie, where can people find the After Midnight effects? Katie still there?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm here. Yeah, after Midnight Effects on Facebook.
Nice. No Instagram yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. So yeah, so go on Facebook and type in After Midnight Effect, and After Midnight is one word, right?
Correct.
Sweet. Well,
I found it.
Patrick found it. So
Thanks, Patrick. right. Patrick found it. You can too.
That's right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to this second episode of the year. And it's already weird to say that already. Second episode of the new year. But once again, Katie, thank you for suggesting your friend here, Partrick. And Partrick, once again, from Tessa and I, thank you for your time. I mean, it was definitely a pleasure. And just so you know that if there's ever any type of project or anything that you feel like you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to jump on board the podcast train and speak your mind and everything else with us again. So, yeah. Welcome aboard.
Man. I appreciate that, Paul. Appreciate that.
Yes. And Katie, same with you.
Thank you. And thank you, Tessa and Paul. It's always, like I said, it's always a pleasure.
Agreed. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you guys. And on that note, babe, like we always tell everybody that is listening, we like you all to stay scary.